Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we're going to be looking at Mick Schumacher and obviously his chances in Formula 1 this season with Haas, and then obviously going forward, can he make it into the Ferrari team going forward? That'll be basically what we're looking at in this video, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now obviously we know that Mick Schumacher will be racing for Haas F1 this season. We'll obviously find some photo of him in his Haas outfit for this year. Obviously once we get the car unveilings as well, we will obviously see new photos of him in that car, hopefully, and obviously with testing going on as well. But yeah, he will be racing for Haas this year. And then obviously, in the fact of Haas, Ferrari have sort of stated recently that they're using Haas to assess Schumacher's promotion potential for the future and to see if he can actually join the Ferrari team. Now obviously we know that it's a completely it's a new driver lineup at Ferrari this year. Charles Leclerc, who's been there a couple of seasons now, will partner alongside Carlos Sainz, and obviously that's a new lineup, so I doubt that'll change going into 2022 either. But obviously what Ferrari will be doing is assessing Schumacher's performance this year at Haas to see obviously if he'll stay for maybe 2022, and then obviously looking at it in the future if he will join the Ferrari team, like the main Ferrari brand. Now obviously he was in the Young Driver Academy test the other day, and obviously he did a few laps in the 2018 spec car. But obviously he will be joining the Haas team, the American team, for this year. And I think let me just have a look. I think Binotto, has discussed this. Mick Schumacher will be one of the drivers for Haas this year, which for us is a great opportunity to show the strength of collaboration we have between both teams. Mick is part of obviously the Ferrari Driver Academy. And it's not, the program is not there to develop drivers for F1, but it's there to develop drivers from one day to maybe drive a Ferrari seat or be in the Ferrari car. So obviously, he won the Formula 2 World Championship last season, sort of in the last race, as it were, against one of his main rivals in the sport. So I think he's obviously got that potential to be a champion. It's whether he can take that step up from F2 to Formula 1. Now I think he did one test last season because he was meant to do one at Germany, but it was waterlogged, so I don't think any drivers got out on that Friday. I think Callum Ilott was meant to race as well, or meant to test, and obviously he couldn't get to do that in the practice, so that was a bit of a shame for him. He was also another one of the drivers that did the Ferrari test the other day, last week, obviously alongside the two main drivers of Sainz and Leclerc, but it was good to see the sort of academy drivers in that week as well. But obviously, Binotto's gone on to say it may be difficult in his first year in Formula 1, and obviously racing for Haas, who obviously I don't think will be challenging too much in terms of any podiums or anything like that. It'll simply be trying to get as much points as possible, but it'll be good to see a good haul of points for Haas, and obviously good old Gunter Steiner. We love to see him with a smile on his face as well. There'll be a lot of responsibility on him with not much experience, is what Binotto's gone on to. So it'd be great to see how he develops in this, say, 2021 season, to how he is at the beginning, to how he is maybe at Abu Dhabi at the end of the year, and how he's developed as a driver, maybe as a man as well throughout the year in the sport. And obviously that's something they'll look into during the year, and obviously if they feel like he has that potential to join the Ferrari main team in the next few seasons. Ultimately I think Sainz and Leclerc, unless anything drastically changes, I expect them to be at least partners and teammates for the next 2 seasons at least, and obviously to see where they go, because I think this year is very much a sort of stopgap season for Ferrari, and their main aim is for 2022 onwards. If they have a title challenging car, then they might not want to swap the drivers straight away and obviously give them a chance of winning the World Championship. But that's all up in the air, depending on where Ferrari are this year and obviously where they are going into 2022. But I think obviously it's a young driver lineup, their youngest driver lineup at Ferrari this year since 1968. So Ferrari are obviously looking at younger drivers to be in that main team. So if he impresses in Schumacher, there's always a chance that he's going to be getting the opportunity to drive for the Ferrari team. Obviously Callum Ilott as well, Robert Schwartzman, who's another one who's had that chance in the Ferrari practices and the testing and everything. So he again is also going to get that opportunity. But obviously don't forget that Antonio Giovinazzi, although he's at Alfa Romeo, he's also another one of them drivers in that Ferrari academy. So Ferrari technically have 4 backup drivers on the F1, on possibility on the F1 grid. So yeah, I mean, look, it's looking great and rosy for Ferrari. Obviously, we know in terms of Mercedes as well, they have George Russell, who's at Williams, and they still have Esteban Ocon, I think, who's at Alpine this season. I still think Esteban Ocon is technically with the Mercedes Academy. If it's any different, please let me know in the comments below. But I still believe Esteban Ocon is with them. In terms of obviously Schumacher and Callum Ilott, both of them I think did around 50 laps each on the Friday of that test. And Schumacher went on to say how nice it was to get back in the car, finally returned to experience the good sensations of driving in Formula One, and it was undoubtedly a positive test to be able to be in this sort of program and getting ready for the pre-season test, which is over a month and a half yet before we go to the winter testing in Bahrain. So yeah, I think it was a great opportunity for them to get behind the wheel, because a lot of the drivers will just be doing simulators at the moment. So I think for actually, even though it's a 2018 spec car, it's probably still good to get behind the wheel of a Formula One car. So yeah, look, Ferrari will be monitoring his performance at Haas. I think he will do. I believe he will do a good season alongside his teammate. I'm trying to think. It's Nikita Mazepin at the moment, that he will be his teammate. I won't go into anything in terms of that, because I think that's still very much up in the air, as much as Haas maybe don't want to admit it. There's a lot of obviously controversy around that decision. So obviously he's technically still his teammate before we go into the preseason testing and the first round of the season at Bahrain. But I think he will, as Schumacher, probably be a better racing driver this season than Nikita Mazepin, and then we see how that develops at Ferrari. Ultimately, like I said, I think he'll do a good job at Haas. I think he'll try and get as much points in as possible, and it's fantastic to see a Schumacher on the grid. I know we shouldn't put that expectation on him, because he's obviously still a young driver and he's still getting his feelers in for this sport, being his first year in Formula One. So I think people shouldn't, because his surname's Schumacher, they shouldn't put him on top of a pedestal, because I think that's only gonna, it's not going to be good for him in terms of the media. I think if they put that spotlight on him, so I think we just let him go, let him see what he can do in this first year. And then I think, honestly, I think Ferrari will allow him to stay there for 2022 as well, and just to see his constant progress in the sport, hopefully. And ultimately, yes, I do think he will be in that Ferrari team in the future. I don't think it will be the near future. Like I said, I still think Sainz and Leclerc will be the main drivers for Ferrari for the next couple of seasons at least, if not 3 seasons. So I think obviously Schumacher's still got a while yet to be in that Ferrari team, but if he can build it up and have a great sort of spell at Haas, then it's only going to help in his opportunities to actually drive for the Ferrari team. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Mick Schumacher. Obviously it's great to have him in the sport this year. Let me know your thoughts. How many years do you think will it be before he actually gets in that Ferrari seat, and do you think he'll have a great season at Haas? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot more videos coming up before winter testing and obviously the first race of the season in Bahrain. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. See you soon.